Hello, and welcome to Space Science Before Sleep. If our planet had a slow and steady pulse like a quiet heart heard through a wall at night, what would it sound like? Maybe you are tired from a long day, or your mind has been busy looping through thoughts that do not easily settle. You have got nothing to do but rest. Let your breathing slow a little, and let your shoulders soften, as if they can gently drop away from your ears. You might even imagine your body feeling lighter, as though gravity has become kind and you are allowed to simply be. Tonight we are drifting through the quiet wonders of life on Earth, not as a list of facts, but as a calm journey through the patterns that make this world feel alive. If this helps you unwind, consider liking and subscribing. One calm orbit at a time. Now let us begin. When people picture life on Earth, they often imagine the obvious things: forests and bird-song animals moving through sunlight, the blue curve of the ocean and the green edge of continents. But life is also the slow rhythm underneath the long, gentle clock that has been ticking for so long that our everyday sense of time can barely hold it. This planet measures life not only in minutes and hours, but in seasons, migrations, tides, and deep changes that unfold quietly one patient moment after another. The simplest clock is the turning of Earth itself, day and night, a steady alternation that teaches living things when to wake, when to rest, when to open petals, when to fold leaves, when to hunt, and when to hide. In your own body, the same kind of steady timing is there too, in hormones that rise and fall in body temperature, that shift slightly in the way your mind becomes more quiet as the evening deepens. Life is full of these gentle internal metronomes. Even in the ocean, where the sun may never reach rhythms, persist guided by currents, chemistry, and the faint pulse of food drifting down like slow snow. Over longer spans, Earth keeps time through seasons, through the tilt of its axis and the changing angle of sunlight. Many animals live by this seasonal calendar, with a precision that can feel almost like memory. Some birds know when to leave before the cold grows sharp. Some insects arrive in waves, as if carried by a schedule written into the air. Some mammals grow thicker coats and then let them go as though the planet is gently dressing and undressing them. You can think of this as one of Earth's quiet agreements with life. The world changes and life changes, with it not hurriedly, but with patient adaptation. And then there is the deeper clock, the one that moves so slowly that you can only sense it by looking across centuries, or across the fossil record, or across the subtle shifts in coastlines and climates. This deeper clock is the rhythm that shaped the first living cells, long before there were trees or fish or birds, when the planet was still learning its own balance. It is also the rhythm that allows life to persist, not as a single creature, or even a single species, but as a continuity, a thread that can pass through the ages, carrying a quiet persistence forward. Tonight, as we settle into this journey, it can help to imagine Earth as a calm living system, not dramatic, not threatening, just vast and patient. A world that offers many kinds of homes and many kinds of time. Some forms of life live quickly, flashing into existence for a season or even a day and then passing on. Others move slowly, measured in decades, centuries, or in the long persistence of a colony that renews itself quietly, spreading and continuing. In the ocean, there are living things that seem like they belong to deep time, drifting on currents that have been circulating for longer than any story humans have ever told. There are also living things so small that they are almost invisible, and yet their presence shapes the chemistry of the sea, the air, and even the ground beneath our feet. If you like, you can hold the thought that Earth's greatest wonders are not always the loud ones. Often they are the quiet ones, the steady ones, the ones that happen in the dark or in hidden layers. One way to ease into this is to picture the surface of Earth from far away, a calm sphere wrapped in a thin veil of air, with clouds moving like slow brushstrokes. That veil is delicate in a cosmic sense, and yet within it, life has built an astonishing variety of strategies for being. Some organisms follow the sun as a guide, taking energy from light and turning it into growth. Others do not rely on light at all, drawing energy from chemical reactions in places where sunlight never arrives. Some life forms endure extremes of cold, waiting patiently for warmth to return. Others endure dryness by pausing, conserving what they need, and waking again when conditions soften. You do not need to hold all of this at once. Let it come in like a gentle tide. Tonight begins with the idea of a clock, a slow rhythm, a calm way of measuring movement and change. Because once we see Earth as a rhythm, it becomes easier to feel how life can fit into it so naturally. Think of your breath for a moment. It is a rhythm too. In and out, quiet and steady like waves finding shore. Life on Earth has many rhythms like that, from the heartbeat of mammals to the pulsing of jellyfish, to the opening and closing of flowers. Some rhythms belong to individuals, others belong to whole communities. A coral reef, for instance, is not only a place, it is a living rhythm with days of feeding and nights of hiding, with seasonal changes in temperature and currents, with generations of tiny builders slowly adding to the structure beneath the waves. Even forests can be thought of as rhythms. Trees grow in the slow cadence of seasons, taking in sunlight, storing energy, letting leaves fall, and then returning again. Beneath many forests, there are networks of fungi that thread through the soil, connecting roots and allowing exchanges of nutrients and signals. It is not necessary to imagine it as a human conversation, but it can be soothing to think of it as a kind of quiet coordination, a hidden cooperation that helps a living community stay stable. And stability is one of Earth's most restful gifts. Not perfect stability because the planet changes, but a kind of dynamic balance. Water cycles, from sea to sky to land and back again. Carbon moves through air, ocean, soil, and living tissues. Energy arrives from the sun, is captured, passed along, and released as heat. In the background, these cycles continue, regardless of whether we notice them. They have been doing their gentle work for a very long time. When you hear about extraordinary creatures, it can be easy to focus on the most dramatic details. But tonight we will try to notice something softer, the way all of these stories are part of one larger rhythm. A frog that can endure freezing conditions is not a story about danger. It is a story about timing, about pausing and returning. A seed that can remain dormant for a long time is not a story about endurance in a harsh sense, but about patience, about waiting quietly until the world offers the right moment. A tiny microbe that lives in a deep place is not a story about darkness as fear, but about darkness as habitat, a simple environment where life can still find a steady way to exist. As we drift deeper, we will meet ecosystems that do not need sunlight, and we will meet organisms that carry their own inner clocks, that know when to migrate, when to change, when to rest. We will also touch on the idea that Earth records its history, not in one single narrative, but in many overlapping ones. In partnerships, in symbiosis, in the way one species shapes the path for another, and in the quiet way life merges and remixes itself over time. For now, though, we stay with the slow clock. Imagine the planet at night, one side turned away from the sun, lights of cities scattered like small constellations, and beyond them, the darker swaths of ocean and forest. In those darker places, life continues too, not sleeping entirely, but shifting into night mode, changing its pace. Nocturnal animals become more active. Some creatures rest. Some plants close their flowers. Some microorganisms continue their silent work in soil and water, regardless of day or night, because their rhythm is not tied to light in the way ours often is. Even your own mind has a rhythm that changes with night. Thoughts that were sharp in the afternoon can become softer now. Memories float a little more freely. The edges of attention blur. This is not a mistake or a weakness. It is your nervous system easing into a different state, one that is meant to help you rest. And in a way, it mirrors what so much of life does, shifting into quieter patterns when the world grows dim. Now let the idea of deep time become gentle rather than heavy. You do not need to picture billions of years in detail. Just imagine that life has had a long time to experiment, to try different shapes and strategies, and to keep what works. Over that long span, some designs have stayed surprisingly steady, while others have changed quickly, adapting to new environments. Both are part of the same calm process. Nature is not in a rush. It does not need to be. Some organisms have bodies that seem almost like simple sketches, and yet they are so well suited to their environment that they persist across vast stretches of history. Others are incredibly complex, with brains, senses, and social behaviors that can feel familiar to us in a quiet way. But all of them, from the smallest microbe to the largest whale, are participating in Earth's ongoing rhythm, taking energy, moving through cycles, and passing on. If you have been carrying a lot today, responsibilities, worries, mental noise, you can imagine setting them down beside this larger clock. Not to ignore them forever, but to give yourself permission to rest inside a wider context. The planet has been turning for so long. Life has been adapting for so long. Your mind does not need to solve everything tonight. You are allowed to simply drift. A little farther into our journey, we can begin to notice the flowing patterns of life. The way movement on Earth often resembles currents, spirals, and drifting streams. But we will get there slowly. For now, keep listening to the gentle idea of a clock. A steady planet. A world where life keeps time in many ways, and where your own body is part of that same quiet order. Let your breathing remain slow. Let your jaw relax, your tongue resting softly, your hands unclenching if they were holding tension without you noticing. Imagine the night as a calm ocean, and your thoughts as small boats that can float without needing to row. Tonight, we are not racing through facts. We are drifting, one calm orbit at a time. As you continue to rest, imagine that life on Earth is not only a collection of creatures, but also a moving pattern like water, finding its way downhill like wind brushing over fields, like a slow spiral traced by a shell on the shore. In the same way that clouds drift in bands, and oceans turn in wide circles, living things arrange themselves in flows and currents too. Not always visible at first, but unmistakable once you begin to notice. There are flows that happen in the open where you can see them with your own eyes. A flock of birds turns as one, then opens like a fan, then gathers again as if a single thought has passed through many wings at once. A school of fish shifts direction, silver bodies tilting together, the whole group moving like one long ribbon. Even a herd on land can have this feeling, many individuals shaping a shared motion that becomes something larger than any one animal. And then there are flows that happen at scales so large, you can only sense them through time. A river carries not only water, but nutrients, seeds, and the quiet work of erosion. A coastline is fed by currents that move plankton larvae and tiny drifting lives that will become reefs, fish, and the great roaming animals of the sea. In these systems, life does not move randomly. It follows pathways, some carved by geography, some guided by instinct, and some formed by the chemistry of water and air. If you could hover above the ocean for a moment, you might see long curving shapes, the sweeping arcs of currents that circle entire basins. These currents are like slow conveyors, carrying warmth toward colder regions and returning cooler water back again. The movement is gentle on a human timescale, but it is steady, and it helps shape where life flourishes. In warmer waters, coral reefs build their intricate neighborhoods. In colder seas, other communities thrive rich with plankton that feed fish, birds, and whales. The ocean is not one uniform place. It is many habitats stitched together by moving water, and the movement itself becomes part of the living design. Even in the air, life drifts. It is an easy thought to overlook because air feels empty. But air carries pollen spores, tiny seeds, and microorganisms that ride invisible currents across continents and oceans. Some of these travelers settle into new places and grow. Others simply pass through part of a vast circulation that makes the world more connected than we normally imagine. When you breathe, you are sharing in this gentle movement air that has been everywhere, passing through forests, cities, oceans, and open sky. On land, there are flows that look like branching patterns, the way roots spread through soil, the way fungal threads weave between them, the way streams gather into rivers and rivers gather into deltas. These are patterns that repeat across scales, as if nature likes certain shapes, not because it is artistic in a human sense, but because the shapes work. A branching network is efficient. It gathers resources. It distributes energy. It connects distant points without needing a straight line. If you walk through a forest after rain, you might notice how water gathers along subtle channels and how the ground itself seems designed to guide that water toward roots and deeper layers. In those deeper layers, life is busy in a quiet way. Bacteria and fungi break down fallen leaves, turning them into soil. Tiny creatures move through pores and cracks, stirring and mixing. This is another kind of flow, not a rush, but a constant circulation of matter and energy through living and non-living parts of the ecosystem. And then there is the flow of life through time, the steady passing of information from one generation to the next. A seed becomes a plant, then the plant becomes a forest, then the forest becomes soil, and from that soil new life rises again. An animal is born, grows, reproduces, and returns to the wider cycle. Even when a single life ends, the larger pattern continues, not in a harsh way, but in the calm logic of a system that renews itself. Some of the most soothing examples of flow come from creatures that live in communities, not because they are always friendly, but because cooperation can be efficient and stable. In coral reefs, many species share space and resources, and the reef itself becomes a home built from countless small acts over long spans of time. In forests, trees and fungi often form partnerships that help both sides. In the ocean cleaner, fish set up small stations where larger fish pause, allowing parasites and dead skin to be removed. It is a gentle moment of trust, a small pause in a busy world, and it reminds us that life is not only struggle, it is also relationship. You can also find flow inside the bodies of living things. Blood circulates, air moves in and out of lungs, signals pass through nerves. Even in organisms without brains, there are pathways of chemical communication, small changes that ripple across tissues. In plants, for example, a signal can travel from a chewed leaf to other parts of the plant, shifting the chemistry of those leaves to make them less appealing to hungry insects. It is not thought in the human sense, but it is responsiveness, a quiet intelligence in the form of flow and feedback. There are also flows that feel almost like sleep itself, states of slowing down and waking again. Some animals enter torpor, lowering their metabolism to conserve energy. Some amphibians can survive long periods of cold by altering their internal chemistry in ways that protect their cells. Some fish endure low oxygen conditions by switching to different biochemical pathways, buying time until the environment changes again. These are not stories meant to shock you. They are gentle examples of flexibility of life, learning to adjust its pace to match the world. If your mind is still active, you can let it rest inside these patterns. Think of the ocean current again, wide and steady, moving without hurry. Think of a flock turning in the sky, not frantic, just coordinated. Think of a forest, breathing with the season's leaves, appearing and falling the ground, quietly recycling what is given back. Life does not always push forward at full speed. Often it pulses, pauses, and resumes like your own body does when you drift towards sleep. For a moment, imagine Earth at night again, but this time focus on movement. Somewhere a migration is beginning. Somewhere a turtle hatchling is crawling toward a faint shimmer on the horizon. Somewhere tiny plankton rise toward the surface under cover of darkness, feeding, then sinking again as morning returns. Somewhere fungi are growing through soil unseen, extending their threads into new spaces. Somewhere a seed is waiting, its metabolism nearly silent, holding its promise for a future season. All of this movement can feel like a kind of quiet choreography. No single conductor, no single plan, just countless local decisions, instincts, and chemical responses adding up to the larger pattern. It can be comforting to think of it that way. Not as chaos, but as a world where order emerges gently over time through steady repetition. And now, as we prepare to drift farther, we can begin to sense that beneath these visible flows, there are deeper structures, unseen supports that help the living world hold together. Some are physical, like soil layers and water columns. Some are biological, like microbial communities and fungal networks. Some are chemical, like gradients of nutrients and energy sources that shape where life can thrive. These invisible supports are not dramatic. They are quiet frameworks, the kind that allow life to move and change without falling apart. Let your breathing remain slow and easy. Let your thoughts follow these currents, not gripping, not chasing, just drifting as if you are floating on calm water at night, carried gently from one idea to the next. One calm orbit at a time. A little farther now, we move beneath the visible surface of things, into the quiet structures that hold life together even when we cannot see them. If the flowing patterns of life are like currents on the ocean, then these hidden structures are like the shape of the seafloor beneath the unseen contours that guide movement, create shelter, and quietly decide where abundance gathers. Many of these supports are made of living things so small that they are easy to forget, even though they are everywhere. The air, the soil, the water, and the surfaces of rocks are full of microscopic life. Some of it drifts, some of it clings, some of it sleeps in spores or waits in dormant forms until conditions become gentle again. These organisms do not just exist alongside larger life. They often make larger life possible. In the soil, for instance, there is a vast community of bacteria, fungi, and other tiny organisms that break down dead plant material and return its nutrients to the system. Without them, forests would choke under their own fallen leaves, and the building blocks of growth would stay locked away. Instead, soil becomes a slow recycling engine. Leaves become humus. Wood becomes food for fungi. Nutrients become available again, and life continues its steady renewal. If you picture soil closely, you can imagine it as a kind of architecture full of pores and tunnels, grains and clumps, air pockets and thin films of water. Within that architecture, microbes live in neighborhoods. Some prefer oxygen-rich pockets near the surface. Others thrive deeper, where oxygen is scarce and chemistry changes. In some places, microbes can use unusual substances to gain energy, not relying on the same pathways we do. This is part of what makes life so adaptable. It can accept many different fuels, many different final steps, many different ways of keeping itself going. In the ocean, hidden scaffolds exist too, though they feel more fluid. The sea is layered, and those layers matter. Sunlit surface water supports photosynthesis, which feeds many marine food webs. Deeper down where light fades, life can still flourish, but it relies on different sources of energy. Some creatures feed on the rain of organic particles drifting downward. Others gather around places where chemistry provides energy directly, such as deep-sea vents. In these places, bacteria can form the base of an entire ecosystem, turning chemical energy into living tissue, in a process that feels like an alternative version of sunlight. This idea can be calming because it suggests that life is not dependent on only one narrow condition. It is not only a sunlit story, it is also a story of chemistry, of quiet reactions that can be steady and reliable. Where there is an energy gradient, a difference in chemistry that can be used, life often finds a way to settle in, to make a home, to build a small, stable world. Even inside your own body, there is a hidden scaffold of life. You are not a single creature in isolation. You are a habitat. Your skin, your mouth, your gut, and many other parts of you are home to communities of microbes. Some are helpful in obvious ways, supporting digestion or helping train the immune system. Others simply coexist, part of a balanced ecosystem that has formed over your lifetime. It can sound strange at first, but it becomes soothing when you think of it as companionship at the smallest scale. A quiet city within you, working without your conscious attention. Your body is not only a machine, it is an environment, and life within it helps keep the whole system stable. This is one of the gentle reminders from biology. The world is built from relationships, from layers, from interdependence. There are also hidden scaffolds that connect organisms to each other. In forests, one of the most fascinating examples is the partnership between fungi and plants. Many fungi form associations with plant roots, wrapping them or weaving through them in ways that help both sides. The fungi can extend far into the soil, reaching nutrients and water that the plant roots might not access as easily. In return, the plant provides sugars produced by photosynthesis. It is an exchange that can stabilize a whole ecosystem. When many plants in a forest share this fungal network, it becomes a kind of quiet web linking individuals. It does not mean that trees are chatting like humans, but it does suggest that resources can move through the system, and that signals can travel, and that a forest can function as more than isolated trunks standing side by side. It becomes a community supported by hidden threads. In the ocean, similar partnerships exist. Corals, for example, often rely on tiny organisms living within their tissues that help them gain energy. Many deep-sea fish host glowing bacteria in specialized organs, using light as camouflage, lure, or communication. In each case, a partnership becomes a structure, a hidden support that allows a creature to do something it could not do alone. This brings us to a quiet way of seeing the living world, not as individual hero stories, but as scaffolds and networks. Life is layered. It is built from small things supporting larger things, from invisible chemistry supporting visible movement, from partnerships supporting survival. Now, let us drift into one of our signature segments, a soft and steady reflection on the breathable veil of our world. For a moment, imagine Earth wrapped in air, like a thin blanket, gentle and protective. That air is not empty. It is a mixture shaped by deep time and by life itself. Plants, algae, and certain microbes release oxygen through photosynthesis, a process that slowly changed the chemistry of the atmosphere across Earth's history. Animals, fungi, and many microbes return carbon dioxide and other gases through breathing and decomposition. The result is not a static recipe, but a living exchange. The air also carries water in invisible form, vapor that becomes cloud, then rain, then river, then sea, and back again. In that water cycle, life finds its pathways. Seeds ride moisture into soil. Forests breathe water back into the sky through leaves. Oceans release vapor that falls on distant mountains, feeding streams that nourish valleys. And in every breath you take, you participate in this gentle circulation. The air in your lungs has traveled. The atoms within it have been part of many things before. They have moved through oceans, through leaves, through other lungs, through ancient soils. This is not something you need to calculate. It is simply a quiet fact of nature. Matter cycles. Life shares. When you breathe in, you are not taking something new from nowhere. You are borrowing from a vast, ongoing exchange. And when you breathe out, you return it. It is a calm kind of belonging. You are inside Earth's breathable veil, and the veil is inside you for a moment. And then, it moves on. You can let that thought soften you. Nothing is solitary, not even breathing. The atmosphere is a shared space, a gentle, common ground that connects trees, plankton, birds, and you without any effort on your part. As our signature segment ends, we drift back into the hidden scaffolds, and now we can sense how these unseen structures set the stage for the next part of our journey. Because once you see the web of supports, you can begin to see how Earth's history is also a story of meeting and merging, of collisions in the biological sense, of partnerships forming, of communities mixing, of life, carrying memory through those connections. For now, keep your attention soft. Let your shoulders remain loose. Let your breath remain slow. You do not need to hold on to every detail. Let it pass through you like air through leaves, like a current, through water like a quiet network doing its steady work beneath the surface. One calm orbit at a time. For a moment, let us imagine that the history of life on Earth is not written only in bones and fossils, but also in meetings. In moments when two paths crossed, and instead of passing by, they stayed close. Sometimes they competed. Sometimes one swallowed the other. Sometimes they formed a partnership so stable that over time it became a new kind of being. In a gentle way, these meetings are like Earth's memory. Not memory stored in a single mind, but memory stored in relationships. If you have ever watched two streams join, you have seen something similar. The water does not argue about where it came from. It simply becomes one flow. In biology, merges and collisions can be just as quiet even when they are profound. One of the deepest examples is so ancient that it sits inside almost every complex cell on Earth, including your own. Long ago, simple cells likely lived alone, drifting through water, harvesting energy in straightforward ways. Then, in a meeting that seems almost impossible to picture, one cell took another cell inside. Instead of digesting it completely, the two formed a lasting arrangement. Over immense time, that inner guest became something like an organ, a specialized helper that made energy more efficiently. Evidence suggests that this is how the mitochondria of modern cells began. The small energy centers inside your cells, quietly working even now as you rest, may trace back to an ancient merger. You do not need to hold this as a dramatic tale. It can be soothing to think of it as cooperation becoming structure, two lives becoming one steady system, a quiet agreement that lasted so long it turned into the architecture of living things. Something similar appears in the lineage that led to plants and many algae. Another ancient partnership seems to have brought photosynthesis into complex cells through an internal companion that became a chloroplast, the green machinery that catches light and turns it into sugar. Again, the details stretch far back, and scientists continue to refine the story, but the idea remains gentle and clear. Life can meet, merge, and create new possibilities. When you look at a tree in daylight, you are seeing the result of these deep merges. You are seeing chemistry and sunlight turned into wood and leaf, not by a single invention, but by layered history, by collaboration written into cells. On the surface of rocks, another kind of partnership quietly spreads. Lichens look simple, like pale crusts, or soft patches clinging to bark and stone. But they are not single creatures. They are shared lives, usually a fungus, joined with an alga or a bacterium that can capture energy from light. One partner provides structure and shelter, the other provides food. Together, they can live where neither could thrive, alone on bare rock, in cold winds, in dry places where soil has not yet formed. Lichens are calm teachers. They show that survival is not always about strength. Sometimes it is about joining. Over time, lichens help break down rock and begin the slow creation of soil. They prepare a place for other life, gently shaping the world, without hurry, grain by grain, season by season. In the ocean, partnerships build entire cities. Coral reefs, for example, are formed by tiny animals that live together in colonies, each one small, each one doing a simple act, secreting a skeleton of mineral. Over long spans, these small acts build structure, and the structure becomes habitat. Many corals also rely on microscopic partners within their tissues that help provide energy. The reef is not only an animal story, it is a shared story, built by many kinds of life, working in different layers at once. Even the cleaning stations of reefs, where smaller fish remove parasites from larger ones, can be seen as a kind of peaceful agreement, a pause in the usual tension of predator and prey, a small moment where two creatures share a calm purpose, relief for one, food for the other. In a world that can look busy and competitive, these moments feel like soft corners of cooperation. On land, partnerships are just as quietly important. Beneath many forests, fungi and roots share their work. Fungal threads can reach into tiny pores of soil, gathering water and minerals. Roots can deliver sugars. The result is not a dramatic alliance, but a steady exchange that helps stabilize growth. When we say a forest is healthy, part of what we mean is that these hidden relationships are functioning smoothly, moving resources where they are needed, balancing the system like a quiet heartbeat. And then there are the mergers within you. Your microbiome, the community of microbes that live on and inside your body, is not an accident. It is the result of long coevolution, a slow tuning over time. Many of these microbes help break down food, produce useful compounds, and support the integrity of the gut. Some influence the immune system, helping it learn what to tolerate and what to resist. The relationship is complex, and scientists are still learning how it works in detail. But the calm truth remains. You are not alone in your own skin. You are a small ecosystem, held together by layers of cooperation. It can feel comforting to know that even the boundary of your body is not a wall. It is more like a shoreline, a place where exchanges happen, where life meets life, where balance is maintained through countless small interactions. Some of Earth's mergers are even written into genetic material. Over long periods, fragments of viruses have entered the genomes of animals, including humans. Many of these fragments are inactive, like old echoes, yet evidence suggests that in some cases, evolution has repurposed viral sequences for new functions. It is a quiet example of how life uses what arrives. Even encounters that began as conflict can over deep time become part of the structure of a species. None of this needs to feel unsettling. It can be seen as a soft kind of creativity. Earth is not only a place of isolated lines, it is a place of braided lines, intertwined histories, and shared solutions. If you zoom out even farther, you can think of ecosystems themselves as the result of constant mixing. Species arrive and depart. Ranges expand and contract. Rivers shift. Glaciers come and go. Land bridges appear and disappear. With each change, communities reshuffle. New neighbors meet. New partnerships become possible. This is another kind of merger, not within a cell, but across a landscape. Even migrations are a form of meeting. Birds, butterflies, and marine animals travel along routes that bring them into contact with different environments, different food sources, different challenges. Over generations, their paths shape the biology of the places they pass through. Pollinators meet flowers. Seeds meet soil in distant valleys. Nutrients move with bodies across long distances. The planet becomes a tapestry of exchanges stitched together by movement. You can let this idea settle into something simple. Life on Earth is a long history of connection. It is not only the story of individuals surviving, it is the story of relationships persisting. It is the story of tiny mergers that became the foundations of complex life and large-scale partnerships that built forests, reefs, and the invisible communities inside your body. As you rest, you might picture these relationships like threads. Some are thick and obvious, like the bond between a parent and offspring, or a pollinator and a flower. Others are as fine as spider silk, nearly invisible, like a microbe adjusting chemistry in soil, or a fungal strand carrying nutrients to a root. Together, the threads hold the fabric of the living world. And now, as we move onward, we will drift into habitats where these partnerships become especially vivid in the absence of sunlight, where life builds itself on chemistry and patience, in places that feel hidden to us, but are quietly full. Let your breathing stay slow. Let your thoughts be gentle. You do not have to remember every detail. Just keep the feeling of a planet where life connects, merges, and continues one calm orbit at a time. Tonight we drift into a world that feels far from the sun. A world where the idea of day and night becomes faint, and where life still finds a steady way to exist. If Earth keeps time with light at the surface, it also keeps time with chemistry in its depths, and that chemistry can become a quiet meeting place, a kind of merger between rock, water, and living cells. When many people imagine the deep ocean, they picture emptiness, cold water, and endless dark. But the deep is not silent in the way we might expect. It has currents slow and constant, and it has a gentle snowfall of organic particles drifting down from above. It has creatures that glow softly, not as a warning but as a language, a signal, sometimes a lure, sometimes a disguise. And in certain places, it has something even more surprising. It has pockets of heat and minerals rising from within Earth itself. These places are often called hydrothermal vents, and they form where seawater seeps into cracks in the seafloor, warms as it moves through hot rock, and then rises back out, carrying dissolved minerals and chemicals. When that warm, mineral-rich water meets the cold surrounding sea, minerals can precipitate and build chimney-like structures, dark towers that can grow and change over time. The vent fields become landmarks in the deep, like small hidden cities made of rock and chemistry. What matters most for life is not the tower itself, but the energy available in the chemical mix. In the sunlit world, many food webs begin with photosynthesis, with organisms that capture light. In the vent world, food webs can begin with chemosynthesis, a process in which certain microbes use chemical reactions to build organic matter. Evidence suggests that bacteria and other microorganisms can use substances like hydrogen sulfide and other compounds as energy sources, creating the foundation for an ecosystem in a place where sunlight never arrives. If you let that sink in slowly, it becomes very calming. Life can begin at a base that is not light but chemistry, not warmth and open air, but mineral gradients and water moving through rock. It is as if the planet offers multiple ways to be alive, multiple kinds of kitchens where energy can be turned into living tissue. Around these vents, animals gather. Some of the most famous are large tube worms, pale bodies anchored near the vent and crowned with feathery plumes that can look almost like flowers in the dark. These worms do not feed in the usual way. Instead, many rely on symbiotic bacteria living within their bodies. The bacteria perform chemosynthesis, producing nutrients that support the worm. It is a partnership, a merger of lives that allows both to thrive. The worm provides a home and access to chemicals. The bacteria provide food. Together, they become a living unit, adapted to a world without sun. Other creatures share the vent neighborhoods too. Crabs, shrimp clams, and fish that have adapted to the local chemistry and temperature patterns. The vent environment can shift, and the life around it is often tuned to that shift, living in a narrow band where conditions are workable. This is one reason vent ecosystems feel so precise. They are built around gradients, places where a little closer might be too hot, a little farther might be too cold or too sparse, and in between is a corridor of possibility. It is also worth remembering that the deep sea is not only vents. There are other hidden habitats as well. Caves, sediments, and porous rocks can shelter microbial communities. In some places, life may persist on slow chemical reactions within rock, drawing energy from the gradual interactions between water and minerals. Scientists continue to explore these possibilities, and the details are still being learned. But the broad truth is steady. Earth has hidden rooms, and some of those rooms are alive. Now let us enter our second signature segment, and we will keep it gentle and sleep-friendly like a soft lantern held low in the deep. Imagine the deep ocean as a dark room, with no windows, calm and heavy with water. In that room there are small lights, not bright like lamps, but delicate like distant stars. Some of those lights come from animals making their own glow, and some come from tiny partners, colonies of bioluminescent bacteria living inside specialized organs. In the deep, light can be used in quiet ways. A faint glow from below can help a fish blend into the dim light filtering down from above, softening its silhouette so that a predator beneath cannot easily see it. A blink of light can become a signal between members of the same species, a way of saying "I am here" without sound. A small luminous point can attract curious prey, drifting close, not frightened, simply drawn in. The bacteria that make this light are living in their own right, and the relationship can be symbiotic. The host offers a protected place and a steady supply of nutrients. The bacteria offer light. It is not magic, and it is not meant to be dramatic. It is chemistry turned into glow. A quiet reaction producing photons, a soft shimmer in the dark. If you could drift there calmly and safely, you might notice that the deep ocean is not a void. It is a layered world full of small signals. The water carries sound differently. The creatures move differently. And light, when it appears, feels precious, like a slow heartbeat you can see. This is one of Earth's calmer miracles. In places where the sun is absent, life still finds a way to shine together. As our signature segment fades, we return to the larger story of mergers and histories. Because the vent communities are not only about surviving without light, they are also clues about Earth's deep past, and perhaps about the kinds of chemistry that could support life elsewhere. Many researchers consider these environments important because they show that life does not need a surface paradise to begin. It may need only energy gradients, water, and the right chemistry, and Earth provides those ingredients in more than one place. And there is another quiet thought here, one that fits the idea of collisions and mergers as memory. The living world is full of shared solutions, repeated patterns that arise again and again. Symbiosis appears in coral reefs, in lichens, on rocks, in microbes within animals, and in vent worms fed by bacteria. The details differ, but the structure is familiar. Lives joining, becoming more stable together than alone. The merger itself becomes a way of remembering what works. You can let this be soothing rather than complex. Nature does not only compete. Nature also cooperates, because cooperation can be efficient, and because partnership can create resilience. In the dark, that truth becomes especially clear, because it is not obvious how anything could thrive there, and yet thriving happens through shared work. A little farther now, we begin to feel the transition toward the next part of our journey. We have seen Earth's flowing patterns, and we have touched the invisible scaffolds, and we have watched life merge into partnerships that carry memory through time. Next, we will drift toward another kind of long history, the way life adjusts to change by slowing down, pausing, and returning through dormancy, through seasonal stillness, and through migrations guided by quiet internal clocks. For now, let your breathing remain slow. Let your mind stay soft. Imagine the deep sea as a calm place, not frightening, just distant, with its own quiet neighborhoods and its own gentle lights. And imagine Earth as a planet that offers many kinds of homes, many kinds of energy, and many ways for life to connect. One calm orbit at a time. As we drift onward, it can be soothing to remember that life on Earth does not always meet change by rushing or fighting. Often, it meets change by adjusting its tempo. It slows down. It waits. It becomes still in a way that is not empty but carefully prepared. And then, when the world becomes gentle again, it resumes. This is one of the quietest forms of resilience in nature, not a dramatic victory, but a patient pause like a breath, held softly and then released. Seasons are one of the most familiar reasons for this kind of pause. In many places, warmth and light are not constant, and food is not always easy to find. So living things carry strategies for the lean times, as if they have learned to trust that the world cycles and that another season will come. Some mammals grow thicker fur and spend more time in shelter. Some insects overwinter as eggs or larvae, tiny lives waiting in stillness. Some plants retreat into roots and bulbs, letting the visible part of themselves disappear while the hidden part remains alive under the soil. You can imagine it like the way a house becomes quiet at night. Lights dimmed, activity slowed, but life still present inside. In water, stillness can be even more literal. Certain fish and amphibians slow their metabolism when temperatures drop, when ponds freeze over and oxygen becomes scarce. Some species adjust their chemistry and conserve energy waiting for the thaw. Not every detail is fully understood for every animal, but evidence suggests that many can change the way their bodies use fuel-switching pathways to buy time until conditions improve. It is not comfort in the human sense, but it is calm efficiency. The body becomes a quiet room with its doors closed, holding on to what it needs. Some of the most striking examples involve freezing. The idea of an animal surviving in a partly frozen state sounds impossible at first, because we picture ice as something that tears cells apart. But certain organisms can produce protective compounds that reduce the damage of ice crystals and help cells endure. In some frogs, scientists have observed that the body can tolerate a deep, cold pause and then return when warmth comes back. The heart slows or stops for a time, circulation changes, and then gradually the rhythm returns. It is as if life has learned how to put a bookmark in its own story. Other creatures manage dryness in a similar way. When water disappears, some organisms fold their metabolism down to a whisper. Certain tiny animals and microbes can enter states where activity becomes almost undetectable, then revive when water returns. In deserts, in soil, on the surface of rocks, there are lives that depend on this ability to wait. They are not fragile in the way we sometimes imagine life to be. They are adaptable, prepared for silence. In wetlands and river systems, change can be more about water levels than temperature. During drought, some animals move, others dig in. There are fish that can endure dry spells by hiding in mud, wrapped in protective layers, breathing slowly, conserving their resources until rain returns. Scientists use terms like estivation for certain kinds of summer dormancy, a seasonal sleep shaped by heat and dryness. Again, the theme is gentle. The strategy is to pause, not to panic, to wait, not to fight. Seeds take this idea and make it even more serene. A seed can hold a future forest in a small, quiet package. It can sit in soil for a long time, protected by its coat, with metabolism slowed almost to nothing, waiting for the right combination of moisture, temperature, and light. Some seeds wait through more than one season, and some can wait far longer than we would expect. When the conditions arrive, the seed wakes, and the stored blueprint becomes growth. This is one of Earth's softest miracles. A life that is asleep, but still possible, still ready. Dormancy is not only for plants. Many insects rely on it too. A caterpillar becomes a pupa and waits, then emerges as a winged adult when the world is right. Some insect eggs survive cold winters and hatch in spring. Some larvae endure dryness in soil until rains return. These pauses are not empty time. They are time held carefully, like a candle protected from wind. And then there is migration, which is not a pause but another kind of answer to change. When a place becomes less welcoming, many animals follow invisible routes to where conditions are better. Birds cross continents. Butterflies travel in generations. Sea turtles move between feeding grounds and nesting beaches. Whales travel along paths that are older than our maps. Migration is a form of memory too, carried by instinct, by learned behavior, and perhaps by subtle cues in the environment. Some animals use the sun and stars. Others may sense Earth's magnetic field in ways that humans cannot easily perceive. Scientists continue to investigate how these senses work, but the broad picture is steady. The planet offers gentle guides, and living creatures have learned to read them. A migrating bird does not need to understand the physics of magnetism. It needs only to follow what its body can sense, one calm adjustment at a time. Even in the ocean, where landmarks are few, the idea of a route persists. Currents themselves can become pathways. Larvae drift with them. Eels travel to distant spawning grounds and return through a life cycle that still carries mysteries. The sea is vast, but it is not without structure. It has invisible roads made of temperature, salinity, and flow. If you like, you can let this be a comforting thought for your own night. Nature is full of ways to meet change gently. Some creatures move to a better place. Some rest and wait. Some shift their internal chemistry. Some become quiet until the world becomes kind again. These are not stories meant to keep you alert. They are stories of patience. Now let us move into our third signature segment, and we will keep it soft and steady like a lullaby made of biology. Imagine a small, nearly invisible being resting in a state that seems almost like sleep. Its body is curled into stillness. Its water content is low. Its chemistry is stabilized as best as it can be. It is not thriving in the usual sense. It is waiting safely, quietly. Some tiny animals, such as tardigrades, are often mentioned when people talk about this kind of waiting. They can enter a special dormant state when conditions become harsh, and then return when water returns. Scientists describe protective molecules and proteins that may help stabilize cells and reduce damage during the pause. The details vary across species, and researchers are still learning, but the overall theme is gentle and clear. Life can learn to pause. You can picture it like a folded letter kept in a drawer. The message does not vanish. It is simply held until the moment comes to open it again. In the same way, a seed holds a future plant, and a dormant microbe holds its basic functions, and a tiny animal holds its readiness in stillness. When water returns or warmth returns or oxygen becomes available again, the life unfolds. It does not wake with urgency. It resumes as naturally as breathing. A slow return to motion, a steady return to feeding and growing. There is something calming in knowing that nature has practiced this kind of waiting for a very long time. Sleep, rest, dormancy, and return. The planet itself moves in cycles, and life has learned to fit into them. As the signature segment fades, we drift back to the larger journey. We have moved through Earth as a slow clock, through the flowing patterns of life, through hidden scaffolds, through mergers and partnerships, and now through the patient art of slowing down and resuming. Next, we will draw closer to the idea of inner dynamics, the quiet heartbeat within systems, how bodies and communities coordinate, how signals move, and how even without a central planner, order can arise. For now, let your breath remain slow. Let your face stay soft, eyelids heavy if they want to be. Let the idea of nature, waiting and returning, be a gentle companion to your own rest. One calm orbit at a time. Now, we drift towards something that feels closer to the center of living things. The inner dynamics that keep a body, a colony, or an entire ecosystem steady. If the surface patterns are like waves and currents, and the hidden scaffolds are like the seafloor, then these inner dynamics are like a heartbeat, not loud, not urgent, just constant, quietly guiding life from one moment to the next. It can be soothing to think of life as a set of rhythms nested inside other rhythms. A day holds many breaths. A breath holds many tiny exchanges of gases. A forest holds many lifetimes. A lifetime holds countless cellular cycles. And most of these rhythms happen without being noticed because they are meant to be effortless. Inside your body there is a steady circulation. Blood moves carrying oxygen and nutrients, returning waste, keeping temperatures balanced, distributing chemical messages. Your heart does not need instructions from your thoughts to keep beating. Your lungs do not need you to consciously request each breath. You are supported by systems designed for quiet continuity. This is true across the animal world in many forms. Some creatures have circulatory designs that feel familiar, and some feel wonderfully strange. There are animals whose hearts are arranged differently, whose blood chemistry relies on different molecules, whose bodies handle oxygen in ways that suit cold water or deep places. The details can vary greatly, but the purpose is the same. Keep the internal world stable enough for life to continue. When you picture an octopus, for instance, you might think first of intelligence, soft arms, and shifting color. But it is also an animal built for a particular kind of inner flow. It has more than one pumping center for moving blood, and its blood chemistry is suited to a marine environment where oxygen can be scarce and cold can change how efficiently gases move. You do not need to hold a number in your mind for this. Just hold the feeling that an octopus is a solution to its world, an animal whose internal rhythm is tuned to water pressure and motion. In whales, the rhythm is different again. A whale takes a breath at the surface, then descends into a long glide heart rate and oxygen use shifting to stretch the time below. The ocean becomes a place where breathing is not constant, but timed like a slow and deliberate pattern. In some diving animals, evidence suggests that the body can prioritize oxygen for the brain and vital organs, while limiting it to other tissues, a quiet redistribution that allows calm endurance rather than frantic struggle. Even in small birds, inner dynamics can be astonishing. A hummingbird in flight burns energy quickly, its body a fast furnace, and yet at night it can slip into a calmer state, lowering its internal pace to conserve energy. This is one of the gentle themes we have been circling all night. The rhythm changes with need. Life does not live at one tempo. Now let us widen our view to inner dynamics that guide navigation and communication, those quieter systems that help animals move through the world without getting lost. Many creatures rely on senses we share, sight, smell, and hearing. But others seem to have extra layers of perception. Consider birds that migrate over long distances. They may use the sun, the stars, and the subtle shape of landscapes. And there is evidence that many can also sense Earth's magnetic field in some way, giving them a compass that does not require landmarks. The details are still being studied, and different species may rely on different mechanisms. But the gentle idea is enough. There are maps in the world that are invisible to us, and some animals can read them. There are also internal maps in the ocean. Sea turtles, for example, travel across vast stretches of water and return to particular regions with remarkable reliability. Part of their navigation may involve magnetic cues, part may involve smell and currents, and part may involve learned routes over time. Again, you do not need the full mechanism to feel the calm wonder of it. A creature moving through open ocean with quiet certainty, guided by signals too subtle for human senses. Communication can be a kind of heartbeat too, a rhythm shared between individuals. Dolphins use distinct whistles that function like individual identifiers, and many researchers interpret these as a way of calling specific companions. Crows recognize human faces and remember interactions, and they can pass information through their groups. Whales sing songs that shift over time, patterns that spread across regions like a slow cultural tide. These are not frantic communications. They are not alarms meant to keep you awake. They are simply the ways living communities coordinate, bond, and maintain continuity. And coordination appears in some of the most peaceful places in nature. On coral reefs, cleaner fish set up stations where other fish pause and allow themselves to be cleaned. The clients hold still. The cleaners move delicately. It is a small ritual, repeated many times, and it creates a gentle order in a busy ecosystem. It is as if the reef has developed its own quiet routines, moments of cooperation that reduce stress and improve health. On land, we see coordination in insect societies as well. Ant colonies move like a single organism made of many bodies. Trails form, resources flow, tasks shift depending on need. Termites build structures that regulate temperature and airflow, adjusting passages over time. Bees share information through movement patterns that encode direction and distance relative to the sun. These are inner dynamics at the community level. Distributed intelligence order arising, without a single leader giving commands. If you step back, it is like watching a heartbeat made of many small pulses. One ant turns, another follows. A chemical trail strengthens. A line forms. In the hive, a dance is performed. Others interpret it. A group departs. The system breathes and responds. Even plants have inner dynamics that can feel surprisingly active once you notice them. A plant may release chemical signals when it is being eaten, priming nearby leaves or even nearby plants to adjust their chemistry. Some plants show forms of learning in experiments, reducing a response to a harmless repeated stimulus while still responding to new threats. This is not memory the way humans experience it, but it is a record of experience in the language of biochemistry. The Venus flytrap is another gentle example of inner timing. It does not snap shut at every touch. It waits for a pattern, a sequence of contacts within a short window, as if it is checking whether the movement is likely to be prey rather than a stray raindrop. When the pattern is right, it closes. The plant uses its energy, carefully guided by a simple internal logic. These stories share a quiet theme. Life is not only structure, it is regulation, it is timing. It is systems keeping themselves within workable ranges, adjusting without panic, responding without needing constant thought. Now, as you rest, you can let these inner dynamics feel like a comforting backdrop. Your own body is doing this too. Your heart keeps its gentle pace. Your breathing finds a rhythm. Your temperature remains steady. Your nervous system gradually shifts toward rest like a dimmer switch turning down the lights. You can imagine that you are not forcing sleep. You are allowing your internal systems to do what they already know how to do. Like a forest regulating itself through seasons, like a reef settling into night, like a migrating bird adjusting to invisible cues, your body is moving toward a calmer state. A little farther, we will move from the heartbeat of individual bodies into the heartbeat of shared societies. How whole communities create stability through organization, division of labor, and quiet cooperation. But for now, stay with this sense of inner rhythm, steady and safe. Let your breath remain slow. Let the space around your eyes soften. Let your thoughts drift without needing to resolve. Tonight you are held by the same kind of patient order that holds the living world together. One calm orbit at a time. A little farther into our calm journey, we can let the idea of a heartbeat expand beyond a single body and into the life of groups, colonies, and communities. Some of the most soothing patterns on Earth come from many small beings working together, each one following simple rules, and yet creating something that feels stable and almost gentle in its order. It can be comforting to remember that complexity does not always require a commander. In many living systems, order emerges from countless tiny choices repeated over and over, until the whole group begins to move like a single calm organism. If you have ever watched a line of ants crossing a path, you have seen this kind of shared rhythm. An ant is small and limited on its own, but together, a colony can gather food, defend a home, raise young, and build a living city beneath the ground. The colony seems to breathe. It has busy hours and quieter hours. It has pathways that form and fade. It has an internal memory, not stored in one brain, but stored in chemical trails, in learned roots, and in the steady presence of workers doing what they do best. One of the most gentle ways to picture an ant colony is as a set of flowing roots, like tiny rivers of movement. When a forager finds food, it may leave a scent trail that others can follow. As more ants use the route, the trail strengthens. If the food disappears, the route weakens and fades, and the colony shifts toward a new path. In this way, the colony does not need a map drawn in advance. It creates a map in real time, and it lets that map change as the world changes. It is a soft form of collective adaptation, a system that stays flexible without becoming chaotic. In some ant species, farming appears another calm example of cooperation. Leaf-cutting ants carry pieces of plants back to their nests, not to eat the leaves directly, but to cultivate fungi that become their main food source. Inside the nest, the fungi are tended carefully, in chambers with the right moisture and temperature. There can even be protective relationships with bacteria that help defend the fungal gardens from threats. Over long time scales, the ants and their fungi have become deeply interdependent. It is not a story of conquest. It is a story of partnership and routine agriculture, as a quiet collaboration practiced far beneath our feet. Termites build in a different style, and their structures offer one of the most peaceful images of animal engineering. In some regions, termite mounds rise from the ground, like sculpted hills full of channels and porous spaces. Inside, millions of termites live and work, tending to the needs of the colony and maintaining the internal environment. Evidence suggests that some mounds can help regulate temperature and airflow, creating a relatively stable interior despite changes outside. Termites adjust their structures over time, opening and closing passages as conditions shift. It is as if the mound is a lung, breathing slowly with the weather. There is something calming in that image, a building that responds quietly, a society that maintains its home, not by force, but by steady repair and small adjustments. And beneath it all is the same theme. No single termite holds the blueprint in its mind. The blueprint lives in the collective behavior, in the rules written into instinct, and in the feedback between structure and environment. Bees offer another gentle example of community order. Inside a hive, the world is dark and crowded, yet coordination is precise. Foragers search for nectar and pollen, and when they return, they can share information through movements that other bees interpret. The dance is a language of direction and distance, relative to the sun, a way of guiding sisters to a useful resource. This is not dramatic communication. It is practical, rhythmic, almost like a quiet ritual. Many bodies, one purpose, repeated day after day. The hive itself is also a temperature-regulated environment. Bees cluster to conserve warmth when it is cold, and they can fan their wings to move air when it is warm. Wax comb becomes architecture, storing food and raising young, a structure built from many small acts, each one simple on its own and remarkable in the total. If insects show us how communities can become cities, the ocean shows us how communities can become living landscapes. Coral reefs are built by tiny animals that live in colonies, and over long spans, their accumulated skeletons form a reef framework. That framework is not only a building, it is habitat. It creates sheltered spaces, crevices, and surfaces where other organisms can settle. A reef becomes a neighborhood filled with many species, each one playing a role in the flow of energy and nutrients. Within that busy world, there are small agreements that feel almost like peace treaties. Cleaner fish create stations where larger fish, sometimes even predators, hold still and allow themselves to be cleaned. The larger fish do not take advantage in that moment. The smaller fish do not bite too deeply. The exchange is stable because it benefits both sides. Watching it, you can feel the quiet possibility of cooperation, even among creatures that might otherwise be wary of each other. In the water column, above reefs and open seas, schooling fish create another shared rhythm, a moving pattern that can confuse predators and help individuals conserve energy. A school turns smoothly, as if connected by invisible threads. Each fish follows the movement of its neighbors. The group becomes a flowing form, a living current. The beauty of it is not only visual, it is mathematical in a gentle way, simple local rules leading to graceful motion. Even in the smallest realms, communities exist. Microbes form biofilms on surfaces, thin layers of life that can protect the community and allow sharing of resources. In soil, microbial neighborhoods shift as moisture changes. In oceans, microscopic plankton blooms can rise and fall with seasons and currents, feeding larger life and shaping the chemistry of water. These are communities too, though. They are often invisible unless you look through instruments or study their effects. Now let us bring this back to the idea of inner dynamics as a heartbeat. A community has its own version of a pulse. There are times of gathering and times of dispersing. There are cycles of growth and rest. There are signals, chemical, visual, or behavioral, that help keep the group coordinated. Even a forest can be seen as a community with inner dynamics. Trees compete for light, yet they also depend on a shared soil system. Fallen leaves feed decomposers. Decomposers return nutrients to roots. Fungal networks link many plants. Animals move seeds. Birds and insects pollinate. In this web, no single species is the main character. The stability comes from the network itself, from many connections that allow the system to adjust when one part changes. This is another soft form of memory. The forest remembers, not by thinking but by structure. The soil holds nutrients. The seed bank holds future plants. The fungal network holds pathways of exchange. The community persists through time by renewing itself, by keeping enough diversity and enough connection to continue. And you can let this idea feel restful. It suggests that the living world is not held together by constant tension, but by patterns of cooperation, feedback, and repetition. The planet has practiced this for a long time. As you lie here, your own mind can do something similar. It does not need to solve everything tonight. It can let thoughts pass, like small creatures moving through a larger system, each one appearing, then moving on. Your body will keep its rhythm. Your breath will keep its gentle pace. Your internal systems will do their quiet work. And just as colonies and forests do not require a single thought to function, you do not need to supervise your own rest. In the next part of our journey, we will drift even closer to the inner dynamics within bodies, the quiet communities inside you, and the gentle truth that being alive is often being many, not in a confusing way, but in a steady, cooperative way. For now, let the image of living cities and living landscapes settle into something simple. Many small lives, one calm pattern, one calm orbit at a time. Now we come even closer from forests and reefs and insect cities to the most intimate kind of community of all, the one carried quietly inside a single body. If a colony has its own pulse, then your body has countless pulses. Some you can feel, many you cannot. and together they create the calm continuity that lets you rest. It is easy to think of yourself as one individual, one mind in one body, but biology offers a gentler and more connected picture. You are also a habitat. You are also a landscape. There are living companions on your skin, in your mouth, and deep within your digestive system, and their presence is not unusual. It is part of how many animals, including humans, have learned to thrive. Scientists often use the term microbiome to describe these communities. The word can feel technical, but the reality is simple and quiet. Your body offers warm surfaces, moisture, nutrients, and protected spaces. Microbes settle there, and over time, a stable community forms. Some members of that community help break down food into compounds your body can use. Some produce vitamins or other helpful molecules. Some interact with your immune system, helping it learn what is normal and what is a threat. Not every microbe is helpful in every context, and scientists are still learning the details of this relationship. But in a broad, fact-safe way, it is reasonable to say that many microbial companions are part of normal health, and that the balance of this ecosystem matters. You can think of it like a garden. A garden does not need to be perfectly controlled to be healthy. It needs balance, variety, and conditions that support stability. The same is true of the inner world of your body. Diet, stress, sleep, and environment can all influence these communities. They shift, they adapt, they respond. And much of this happens without your awareness because it is meant to be quiet. There is a restful humility in this. You are not carrying the entire task of being alive by yourself. Your body is supported by countless small lives doing their work, and your own cells are supported by internal structures that have deep history. Inside each of your cells are tiny energy-producing compartments that help convert food into usable energy. You can imagine them as dim lamps in a vast city, glowing softly, powering the quiet functions of life. Scientists estimate that these structures, called mitochondria, have a history that reaches far back, possibly to ancient partnerships between early cells. Again, you do not need to hold the details. Just hold the calm image. In your smallest parts, there is inherited cooperation. And if we widen slightly again, we see how even the boundary between you and the world is not as absolute as it seems. You exchange air with the atmosphere, water with your environment, and matter with food and drink. You are part of Earth's cycles. The atoms in your body have been part of other bodies before, and they will return to the wider world again. This can be soothing because it replaces isolation with belonging. You are not separate from life. You are inside it, and it is inside you. Now let us return to the broader living world and consider other intimate partnerships that blur the line between one organism and another. In the deep sea, some fish glow not by making light directly, but by hosting colonies of bioluminescent bacteria. The fish provides a sheltered home and nutrients. The bacteria provide light. This light can be used for camouflage communication or attracting prey. It is a partnership that turns the idea of an individual into a small community, a living lantern made of two lives cooperating. On land, lichens do something similar. On rocks and bark, fungi and algae, living together as one visible patch, enduring wind and sun and cold, and slowly helping create soil. In coral reefs, tiny organisms inside corals contribute to the energy that helps the coral build its skeleton. In vent ecosystems, bacteria inside tube worms feed their hosts using chemical energy. In each case, a partnership becomes a single functioning unit, more stable than either partner alone. These relationships are not always simple, and they are not always perfectly cooperative in every detail, but they show a calm truth about biology. Life often thrives by connecting. Even some of the most surprising abilities in nature can be seen as extensions of this flexibility. Consider animals that can endure harsh conditions by entering very slow metabolic states. Some tiny creatures can reduce activity to near stillness and revive when water returns. Some microbes can lie dormant for long periods and awaken when conditions are right. These strategies are not loud. They are quiet. They are about preservation. about holding the possibility of life until the world becomes gentle again. And within that same theme of flexibility, we can recall how some fish can shift their reproductive roles depending on the structure of their group. In certain species, social hierarchy and environmental cues influence which individuals become male or female over time. Hormones shift, behaviors change, the body adapts. It can be tempting to describe this as shocking, but we do not need to. We can describe it as one more example of how life is shaped by context, and how rigid categories are sometimes less useful than we think. In the ocean, even blood chemistry can shift to meet local demands. Some marine animals use different oxygen-carrying molecules than humans, and their internal circulation is tuned for cold water, low oxygen, or deep pressure. This does not need to be memorized. It is enough to feel the quiet wonder of adaptation. The world is varied. Bodies become varied to match it. Now, as you rest, let your thoughts drift toward a simple image. Picture yourself as a calm coastline at night. The ocean moves in and out. The tide rises and falls. Tiny creatures live in the sand. Birds rest farther up on the shore. In the water, algae and microbes drift. None of these lives are isolated. They overlap and share space, each one depending on the conditions created by others. Your body is like that coastline, a place where many processes meet, where exchange happens, where balance is maintained through constant, gentle adjustment. This can also soften the way you think about your own mind. Thoughts arise and then they pass. Feelings appear and then they fade. You do not have to chase them. You can let them be part of the internal ecosystem signals moving through you, not needing to be solved tonight. Your nervous system can settle. Your breathing can deepen. Your muscles can release. A little farther, we will begin to bring the journey toward a calm close, and we will widen out again back to Earth as a whole, to the larger truth that all life shares a common language in its genetic code, and that all matter is part of a cosmic story. But we will do it gently, without numbers and without urgency, just as a soft reminder of connection. For now, rest in this thought. You are not only one. You are a living community held together by quiet cooperation. You are part of Earth's larger community as well, and you do not need to do anything to earn that belonging. It is already true simply because you are here breathing, one calm orbit at a time. Now, gently we widen our view again, from the close, intimate community inside a body, back out to the larger living world, and then, farther still, to the deepest layer of connection, the one that links every organism to every other through shared chemistry, shared ancestry, and shared matter. If you let your mind stay soft, this can feel less like a lesson and more like a lullaby made of simple truths. One of the calmest ideas in biology is that the diversity of life is written in one common language. Bacteria in deep rock, algae in the sea, moss on a stone, whales in the ocean, birds in the sky, and you all use the same basic molecular script to store information. The details differ wildly, of course. The instructions for a jellyfish are not the same as the instructions for a tree, but the alphabet beneath them is shared. Scientists often point to this shared code as evidence of common descent, the idea that all life on Earth is related through deep time, branching from earlier forms into countless lineages. You do not need to picture the entire tree of life tonight. You can picture the feeling of it instead. A great, slow branching like a river delta, spreading into many channels, all connected upstream. This shared language dissolves the feeling of separation. It suggests that life is one extended family, not in a sentimental sense, but in a chemical sense, a kinship written into molecules. And that kinship is why certain patterns repeat, why cells use familiar building blocks, why metabolism has recognizable pathways, why some solutions like dormancy or symbiosis arise again and again. Life shares a toolkit, and it continues to explore possibilities with it. Another calm idea is that matter itself cycles. The atoms in your body are not new. They have been part of many other things. Carbon moves through air, and leaf through soil. and see through the bodies of animals and the shells of tiny ocean creatures. Oxygen moves through photosynthesis and breathing through water and wind. Nitrogen moves through soil microbes and plant roots and back into the atmosphere. Every cycle is like a slow, quiet circulation of the planet. So when you breathe, you are participating in that circulation. Your breath is not only air moving in and out, it is the planet's cycling matter through living systems. The air that touches your lungs has touched forests and oceans too. The carbon dioxide you release may one day be part of a leaf. The oxygen you take in was likely released by photosynthetic life somewhere at some time, and it has traveled a long way to reach you. You can let that thought feel gentle, almost like being held. You are not taking from the world in a way that leaves you separate. You are exchanging with it, as all life does, quietly, continuously. And then if we drift farther still, we come to a truth that feels almost like poetry, but it is also the broad shape of modern science. The atoms that make up Earth and your body and the oceans were formed in the long history of the universe. In the earliest moments, the universe held mostly the simplest elements. Over time, stars formed. Inside stars, through slow processes and immense pressure and heat, heavier elements were made. When stars ended their lives, they returned those elements to space, where they could become part of new stars, new planets, and eventually living things. This does not need to be dramatic. It can be quiet and comforting. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all belong to a story that began long before Earth had oceans or air. It is as if the universe practiced building the ingredients for life, slowly across countless stellar lifetimes, and then offered those ingredients to planets. When you look at life on Earth, you can see it as one expression of a much larger continuity. Matter becomes stars. Stars become elements. Elements become worlds. Worlds become chemistry. Chemistry becomes cells. Cells become forests and reefs and whales and birds and you. Not as a ladder, not as a hierarchy, but as a sequence of transformations, each one building on what came before. And now, as we come toward the end of this long, gentle drift, we can return to the topic that began our journey tonight: the remarkable ways life survives and thrives on Earth. We have wandered through deep-sea vents, where chemistry can fuel ecosystems, and through deserts, where organisms hide inside rock, and through forests, where roots and fungi exchange resources in hidden webs. We have visited the patient strategies of seeds and dormancy, the long migrations guided by subtle cues, the quiet cooperations of reefs and insect cities, and the intimate communities within bodies. We have seen that life is inventive, but also calm in its inventiveness. It does not always push forward with speed. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it joins with others. Sometimes it builds slowly over centuries and millennia. Sometimes it persists almost unchanged for ages. Sometimes it changes quickly in response to new conditions. The pace varies, but the continuity remains. And perhaps the most soothing message underneath it all is this: life is not only a collection of separate beings, it is a web, a set of relationships, a shared chemistry, a shared history. If your eyes are heavy now, you can let them close. Let your breathing find its natural rhythm, steady and unforced. Let your body feel supported by the surface beneath you and by the quiet work of your own internal systems. You have got nothing to do but rest. As you drift, you might hold one simple image: a night on Earth, seen from far above, a dark sphere wrapped in a thin blue veil of air, with oceans turning slowly and clouds moving in soft swirls. On that sphere, countless lives are sleeping, waiting, breathing, glowing faintly in deep water, resting in burrows tucked into nests, curled into leaves, paused as seeds, paused as spores, paused as tiny dormant beings, all part of the same gentle planet. And you are part of it too, one calm orbit at a time.